Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us. So an entire week has passed, and of course I have a life and house projects along the way. So finally the weekend. So guys, this is what I have after I cleaned off all the rust that was on this gouge. And honestly, I don't see a crack on it. It looks fine, but it is deep. I personally, I'm not comfortable putting my life and that of my family at risk with this just because I don't feel like replacing it. What I did is I went to the parts store and I picked up some 3/16 brake hose. I picked up went to Harbor Freight and I picked up a tubing cutter, picked up a flaring toolkit and a tube bender. Take into account that this is a 3D model in a way. So yes, you do have to make a bend here, here, and here. However, you also have to think of it from this plane that, you know, you may or may not be able to do this one, etc. because it's all trying to contour to the underside of the back side of the caliper. So I know I'm not going to be able to get it all that perfect. And I'm okay with that. As long as these line up and I can make the flare ends safe, I'm okay with it. Because really all you're gonna see from the outside, especially because this sits at the bottom of the caliper, so from the outside, all you're gonna see of this pipe is this, just that right there. I'm gonna line that up with the 0, on here. That's degree. So there we go. So now the question is, how much angle do I give this? So it's clearly going to bend it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out kind of like this. This part is what's going to be more or less straight. So I want to make sure that the part that gets bent, this side here, goes to about that angle. So that looks like a 30-degree angle to me. So I'm going to do about 25, 20, and then reassess from there. Let's see.
There we go. All right. I'm just holding it there, there's no pressure. But let's take a look here.
Let's see how that looks. Dude, that's actually not bad. More or less, my next bend would be right there where my thumb is. Now, here's the fun part, because now you have to take into account the multiple angles that this thing is going to see. So you want to make sure that it's level with the direction that you want to go into. So, oh boy, this is fun. So I'm basically trying to replicate this bend now, but you know what? Learning process. Let's just do the bend and see how it goes. So that more or less is about an 80-degree turn, 75, 80 degrees. So let's give that a shot.
Right where it is, come on. There we go. That's 45.
Let's see. Oh, well. My guesstimation was quite off. Check this out, guys. So you see how the tips line up there? Look at how much shorter that was. It's about a ½ an inch short. This would smack against the caliper. So already this is scrap. So that's fine. I'm still gonna work on getting my bends right because I can always cut off these flares and use this pipe as a practice piece for the flare ends. So we have here first attempt, second attempt, original. Notice how much better this one is. Already in the second try. Now, still not exact, but this is significantly closer to what this is. So I'm very happy. We're making good progress. Okay, so I just mocked up the second attempt on the caliper, and honestly, it seems to line up pretty dang near. So what I'm gonna do, and again, this may be a total failure, but I'm just learning here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and make a cut on this and see if the pipes actually line up and I have enough space at the back end. So that's gonna be my mark. So right there where the tape begins, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there. Wow. So look how clean that is. Let's see how it lines up on the caliper now. I don't expect it to work, but I'm trying to see how close I actually got to it. Okay, so I actually made it too wide by like a 1/4 inch. Oh my God, that is so close. Yeah, see, so I have this side fully seated at the bottom. And if I line it up there with the groove, look at where I'm at. So the length is perfect, but this bend is too, this straight section is too long. If it was a 1/4 inch shorter, that would fall into the hole down there and we'll be good to go. Put the fittings, put the flare in it, and done. Oh man, so close. Okay guys, I was gonna start a third one, but then I was like, man, it fits so close. Let me see, start messing around with the bends a little more. So then I was like, okay. So I had this pretty much straight. It was just too long on this section here to where my fingers are at, right? And so what I didn't have is this bend downward. And that's supposed to clear this here. And because it comes out here, it comes out straight, then it comes over this way. So it sits on this groove, you see, and clears this bolt. So I went ahead and gave it that bend, and well, now it clears the bolt, it sits where the groove is, actually hovers over it, but I still had a problem that these were too far spread apart. So I was like, you know what do I have to lose? Squeeze them in, created this slight bend, and look at that. That is sitting all the way down to the bottom where it actually meets the caliper to make the seal. I'm gonna do the flares on my scrap one there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 possible ends that I can go ahead and start practicing doing the flares. So I'm gonna practice on that before I do it on this, because at this point, this is the one I intend to put on the caliper. This is looking good. But long story short for you guys is that I will not be able to fix the caliper today. And the reason is that the flare end that I created is not the same as the flared end that came on the original pipe. What's the difference? Long story short, I Googled it and it turns out that the double flared end that I am making is non-compatible with brake applications. It actually, multiple sources online actually say do not use this on brakes. European brakes, let me rephrase that, European brakes. So here's what came from BMW. There, look at it against my head, my big old shiny head. So you see there that the fitting comes up against the flat edge, and the very top of it, what actually makes contact with the caliper body, that's a bow, kind of like a mushroomed out. This is called a DIN mushroom flare, and European brake applications are what use this. That's why this inverted double flare is never going to work. It will never seal because they are basically opposites. You see that? Okay, this is a little better. It's not perfect, but I don't think I can get it perfect. I got like 2 threads on each side. Here we go. And well, it's sitting in there. I just wanted to give it a little more down angle because you see, if you follow the arc of the top of the caliper, that's still sticking out. I want to bring this down to more or less around here. All right, so got my new bubble flaring kit. And if you notice the clamp itself, instead of having what do you call it, bevel coming down, like this one is almost flush across. So You squeeze it down, this side is going to be flat. And then you see the dies here. That actually goes into the pipe. That has a bowl on it. You see that shape? So then that means that the bubble is going to be at the top and it's going to be flat at the bottom, which is the opposite of what a double flare looks like. So there you go. Last piece, guys. All right, let's go ahead and make some flares. Guys, look at this. Perfect bubble. You see that? Come on, focus. There you go. Look at that. Okay, I'm happy. All right, I'm gonna take the plunge and I'm gonna go ahead and chop up the factory one, transfer these fittings, and then go ahead and do it on this one. There's something pretty cool about my cutter. So you see that groove that's on this roller? That's actually for this very purpose. If you need to chop the flared end on one of the lines that you're gonna go ahead and reuse, for example, you rest the flare on that groove and then you can go ahead and cut it and it'll be a minimal loss at that point. At that point, you're basically just losing the flare itself and leaving the rest of the pipe intact. So that's pretty cool. All right, guys, so I struggled a little bit to get the fittings off, but we got them off. These are from the factory line, which now rests in pieces here. A little bitty here, this and this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the straight one and knock that one out. If all goes well with this one, then I will go ahead and bend this back straight so I can put the other fitting in there and flare that end. Look at that. Look at that. So I transferred the fittings and also the rubber isolator. So I've yet to try it on the caliper. Let's try this together. Oh man, here we go. I'm excited, but I'm scared. All right, so get one side in and the other side. No way. And room to spare. Oh, wow. As long as I can right in there. Let's see. Oh my gosh, yeah, I can make that work. There you go. There's that one. And then this one here is a little trickier. I gotta go like this. There it is. It's in. Now once it goes in all the way, I might bend the line a little bit when it's torqued down. But I mean, look, this it's not down all the way, but even so, like, I can lift the entire caliper. The line is supporting the weight of the caliper right now. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy, guys. I screwed it down a little more and then I bent the line in place. That definitely looks a lot better. Oh man, I'm happy.